Hi parents! Our 7th grade Summit Learning team wanted to provide you with a quick video covering our Summit Learning platform in order to help answer a couple of questions regarding grading and additionally to help explain the best way that you as parents can support your child at home given all of the great information and data that this platform has to offer you. So to do that, I am going to share with you my screen for our demo Summit student. So you're seeing the screen here, which would be similar to what you would see if you were to sign in from your parent login and you're looking at your own child's platform. So this demo student is currently enrolled in all of our 7th grade courses. You can see that they are enrolled in 2 math classes. They're enrolled in the pre-algebra class as well as the Algebra 1. Your child would only be enrolled in one of those. Otherwise, they are in all of the same classes that your child should be enrolled in. So the first thing that we wanted to talk to you about was the projects. If you attended our open house or you were able to come to one of our Summit parent training sessions a couple weeks ago, you would have heard that the most kind of important part of our Summit learning experience is the projects that the students are able to engage with. These projects are listed on the platform in the very top row of each course that a child is taking. And these projects will account for 70% of their overall grade. The reason that these projects are so weighted so highly is because these projects assess various cognitive skills that allows a student to engage in some higher order thinking and to really kind of dig deep into their thinking and the application of the content that they're learning. So if you were to open up one of these projects, for example, I have our History Without Writing project. This is what we're currently doing in our social studies class. You would see that you have kind of an overview of what your child is being asked to do within this project, including what cognitive skills they will be assessed on. So in social studies, they're going to be assessed on these 3 main cognitive skills. It also tells you which power focus areas or playlists, as your child might kind of refer to them, that kind of go with this project and help support their learning. So this is going to be what your child works on during their social studies block. And again, if we were to look at a different subject area, for example, if you were looking at science right now, Miss Alyssa's class is doing catapults. They are also working on projects with 3 separate cognitive skills that are being assessed. And this is when you have kind of the most direct teacher instruction for that child. So if you are looking at one of these projects, and I'm just going to go back to our History Without Writing because that's the project I'm teaching and the one that I'm most familiar with, you'll see number 1 that if you're looking at this on the Year View tab, that your child might have a red or a yellow or a green color that is on top of that project. What that should signify to you right away is that there may be something that your child needs to do within that project in order to show their learning a little bit better and in order to improve on one of those cognitive skills. When you hover over one of these projects, you can see that there are certain checkpoints associated with this project. And for the History Without Writing, you can see that the first one is green, the second is yellow, and the third is red. So immediately what that should tell you is that your child is currently on grade level and doing what they need to do with their project, with their checkpoint number 1, and then they have potentially some work to do with checkpoints 2 and 3. If you were to open up this project, you would see that You could open up each checkpoint, and a checkpoint is just a fancy word that Summit uses for practice assessments. So in standards-based learning, which is the learning philosophy and approach that our middle school has adopted, in standards-based learning, students are expected to practice a given skill a number of times where they will receive direct feedback before they're asked to actually accomplish that and to show what they know for that skill summatively after receiving a lot of feedback. So for this first checkpoint or this formative assessment, you can see that if you open up the checkpoint itself, that this student is a green. Now, since this is just a demo student, they don't actually have work that is completed in here, and based on the share settings that your student's document has set up, you may or may not be able to see the document that they completed themselves. But what you should be able to see is over on the right over here, there are cognitive skills that it's telling you is being assessed within this checkpoint. So every checkpoint is going to address either one or multiple cognitive skills that are supposed to be assessed within that work, within that practice. So for this particular example, the argumentative claim is the cognitive skill that is being assessed. And if you scroll down on the rubric, you'll see that the rubric is highlighted to signify which part of the student is currently doing well with, which for this demo student would be a level 4. And then it also gives you some information about which part of the rubric the student needs to work on, which is going to be in purple and is a part of a level 5. Together, looking at both of these pieces, the green and the purple, you should be able to evaluate along with your child what part of the rubric they are currently working on. So since this demo student is a complete 4 and working on a 5, we would say that they are currently at a level 4. In 7th grade, our expectation is that by the end of the year, they are working at a level 4.5 on that rubric. So a 4.5 would signify a 100% with that skill. Some students may be ready to be considered at grade level right now, but of course, most students will not be at that point because we haven't finished 7th grade yet. So we would say that a level 4, which would be considered a 93%, which is still an A, is right on track with where they should be at this point. So again, you can use the cognitive skills section of the checkpoint to look over the rubric to see what your child is currently doing within a given cognitive skill. If we were to open up checkpoint 2 and see that there's something that is yellow in there, it's telling us that the child needs to stop, pause, and read whatever feedback their teacher has given them. Maybe it means that they're not currently at grade level, or maybe it just means that their teacher wants to give them some specific feedback so that they know exactly what they need to do in order to improve. So if you were to open up checkpoint 2 here, again, you might see that you can actually view the document, but if you can't, all you have to do is ask to see the document with your child. They should be able to pull it up on their screen, and you should be able to see the work that they have completed. When you do that, you should notice that there are some comments that the teacher has provided for the student in terms of providing more feedback in detail. So you'll be able to read through the comments with your student and also again look at the cognitive skills button. This particular checkpoint was only addressing the selection of evidence cognitive skill. So if you open that up, we can again look at the rubric and see exactly where this student is. Since they are partway between, they're doing some things that are considered a level 3, but they're also missing some things considered a level 3, then they're just a row above and they would be considered a 2.5, which at our 7th grade level would be equivalent to a 70%. Again, since this is a yellow checkpoint, it's not a sign of alarm. It's not saying that you are not doing things right. It's just saying we need to stop, pause, and look at the feedback so that the student knows exactly what to do in order to move up that rubric and to get closer to grade level. So again, since this is not a real student and we don't have their real work, you might not see as specific comments on my page here, but your child should have more specific feedback and comments. Well, you can see that one of those comments says, please respond to this comment and let me know if you understand your feedback or need more help. This is a common comment that I will put in for my social studies students to just double check that they have in fact viewed the feedback and to make sure that it makes sense. Once they've responded to this comment and let me know if they are all set or if they need more help, I'm able to turn that checkpoint to green to signify that you're on the right track and you know what you need to do to keep moving forward. So if your child is yellow, then the big thing that they need to do is just to view the feedback and to view the comments in that checkpoint. Finally, if a checkpoint is red, a red really means that they need to stop, view the feedback, and revise. Typically, they will be turned red if they either have not turned something in after it was due, or if what they turned in was not correct or didn't include any evidence of the cognitive skill. So you could open up that checkpoint and again view these cognitive skills on the right hand side. This particular student or this particular checkpoint was assessing both argumentative claim as well as selection of evidence. And so you could open up claim. It looks like they are currently on a level 2. They are doing all of the requirements for a level 2, but they have things to work on for a level 3 for next time, so they know what direction they're moving towards. But when you look at the selection of evidence, it's signifying that they are a level 0, meaning that they have not actually provided any evidence yet, which is why they are at a red. So normally, if you see something on a cognitive skill rubric that says no evidence, the expectation is for the student to go back in to provide the evidence or to do the work that they were asked to do and to resubmit. So a red checkpoint is really just telling you something wasn't finished or something wasn't done correctly and to go back and to complete that work correctly. So altogether with these checkpoints, you can see that this child still has a bit of work to do before they complete their final products. So the final products within a project would show up on the overview with stars, and these final products are going to be what gets turned in as a summative assessment and what will summatively and kind of finally assess the cognitive skills that they have been working on throughout this entire project. For this particular project, there are 2 final products. The first one, the inquiry argument, will assess both argumentative claim and selection of evidence, so they'll receive 2 grades for this final product. And the second is an oral presentation, and they will receive 1 grade for oral presentation on this final product. So what that tells you is that by the end of this project, your child will receive 3 cognitive skill grades altogether. All right, so that's kind of how you can use the checkpoints within a project to understand where your child is on any given cognitive skill. If we were to go back to the year view on this student's page, we would see that if we wanted to look at their overall grades, which at this point there may not be any overall grades yet, as most projects are just starting to wrap up now, and children do not receive a summative grade until they have practiced a skill sufficiently. And again, as I mentioned, until they have shown what they can do with that skill independently and on their own at the end of the unit or at the end of the project. So many of these projects will start having grades in the coming week or two. But I can show you from our kind of practice course that we completed at the beginning of the year just to onboard students onto the platform, which was our 7th grade Summit Success course. If you hover over a project, and it is green, that signifies that that project was completed and that it was turned in on time. If you click on the name of the course, it will open up. Actually, you probably want to do this from the week view. So if you go back to the week view and you click on the name of the course, you will see a page that looks like this. This is going to be your new Power School. This will be how you can track how your child is doing in any given course. The big things that you want to look out for in terms of how to use this page is, number one, to see their kind of holistic view of whether or not they are on track for this course. So if it says that they have 0 projects overdue, that's a good thing. That means that all of their projects have been completed on time. Their power focus areas, they've completed 0 of 6, but for this course, they're not considered off track because there are no expected power focus areas to be completed at this time. If a power focus area was supposed to be completed by a certain date and they had not yet completed it at this point, then it would say that they were off track in however many out of 6. But since there are no expected power focus areas due yet, it considers them to be on track. The same goes with the additional power focus areas. And again, kind of the more important part of the students' grades are those cognitive skills that go with each one of the projects. So this student, for example, scored a 4 on each one of the cognitive skills associated with our Summit Success project. And remember, a 4.5 is considered at grade level, which would be 100%. So a 4 would equate to a 93%. If they have received a 4 and a 4.5, then they would have averaged the 2 scores in order to show what their cognitive skills score average is here. And then they would take the cognitive skills grades, which again is worth 70% of that whole grade, and they would add in if they were on track with their power focus areas and additional focus areas, which combined create 30% of their overall grade in order to give them their complete grade for this course. So this student is currently earning a 95% in the course since they are on track with all of their power focus areas, and they are averaging a 93% for their cognitive skills. So you again should be able to see a similar breakdown of your child's grade if you were to look at any of their courses. So the final thing we wanted to kind of go over with you is going back to this year view and just talking quickly about this blue line. This blue line seems to be a big source of stress and anxiety for some of our students and our parents as they move throughout the year in Summit. The blue line is just the way that the platform communicates where students should be at any given point in the year. And as the blue line, or as the year moves along, the blue line will move along as well. So as you can see, there are some power focus areas that have already been passed by the blue line. For example, Energy 2 was passed on October 9th, as was Mechanics 7, as was what was Ancient Egypt like. So if your child did not successfully pass those power focus areas by October 9th, then their power focus area would turn red. This is not in any way the end of the world. This is not something to be a huge cause of concern or alarm. But it is, again, another way to communicate with you and to your child that kind of what specifically they should be prioritizing and working on at this time. And so they would need to make sure that they are completing study guides, that they are taking notes, that they are using their study strategies and checking in with their teachers for any power focus areas that are red in order to make a plan for when they will take and pass that content assessment. We have started to reach out to students who are behind the line in our given content areas in order to give them some targeted study strategies and ideas for what they can do to improve and to get prepared to take that content assessment and to pass. So these were kind of the big things that we wanted to show you on our platform. We have been so encouraged by all of the success that students have been having throughout this first part of our year. And we can't tell you how exciting it is when a child comes up to us and tells us that they've passed a power focus area with a big smile on their face and how proud of themselves that they feel. And those who are still working towards that success, these are talking points for us as well, and looking at some habits of success that they may need to adopt and to work on in order to help them move forward with the platform as well. So that's going to conclude our video for today. We appreciate all of the questions that you've been asking. We are more than happy to continue to meet with any parents who would like to discuss the platform or their child's independent progress. But we also hope that maybe this video helped to answer some questions that you may have. Please feel free to reach out if you have any additional questions, and we will see you all soon. Take care.